Hello. Welcome to Monday night yet again. Here we are. And tonight we're going to be doing breathing exercises.
Breathe, Bo, breathe.
I'm going to say waiting. All right, people. We have two joining us via Zoom this evening.
What's that?
Two joining us via Zoom this evening.
All right.
Yes. That mouse actually does not work. I can start it over. We can just hang in here. Living the dream. The Monday dream. Right?
Right.
Monday dream. Yep. I was always gonna think someone's there. He does this thing if you're just like, hey, how are you doing? Like he's already about the door. He knows I'm full of it, but if we're just in the middle of it, he'll just like start running. Think someone's here. You just say hello really loud.
I seem to be walking there.
Mm-hmm.
No jumping too quick last Wednesday. You hear that?
For sure. Oh. Oh. Hello.
Hello. Sorry it took me so long. It kept saying I had the wrong password. I guess I don't know my ABCs.
I was like, simple.
And I had to adjust some things because this is the first time I'm actually using Zoom like in a long time. So
Well, welcome. Oh, look, we have
Hi. Hi.
hey.
Harper came by the way on Zoom.
Okay. So I told the beginning of the video that tonight we're doing breathing exercises.
Ooh, I like that.
All right, and here
Okay.
is Stan the man.
Well, tonight's going to be a little bit of a change up because I do breathwork as well. But we all do a little bit of breath work. Whenever we're stressed out, we always say, take a deep breath and let it out. I've told Megan that when she's a little girl. Take a deep breath and let it out. Breath work, of course, is much more than just taking a deep breath and letting it out. Breath work in general, there's a lot of science behind it. There's a lot of people involved in breath work. The people that I guess I focus more on is Wim Hof. He's also known as the Iceman. He's written a couple of books that I have as well, talking about his technique. And he uses a lot of universities and doctors to sort of validate his approach to things. His main thing is breath work changes your body chemistry. One of the things it does is raises your pH and it increases your oxygen level. Of course, if you study anything about cancer or disease in general, it's usually because your body's too acid and and you're not getting enough oxygen. Like cancer, they say one cause of cancer is basically not enough oxygen in your cell and low pH. That's one thing that's addressed by breath work. Now, there's a lot of good resources on YouTube, and I'm sure other sites as well, talking about breath work. So I'm kind of default to that tonight, because there's a lot of good guided meditation on breath work, how to go about it. Now, there are also some real good videos talking about some of the benefits of breath work that I guess I don't have queued up tonight, but a lot of the stuff's available on the internet of why you would do these things. But generally, it's reduction of stress, mental calmness, and a lot of people suggest that just prevention of disease as well if you do this in the process. Of course, Wim Hof, he's known as the Iceman, and taking cold showers. Okay, so in the morning when you're taking a nice hot shower, Megan knows about this.
Yes.
When she was growing up, we did this Kodiak arrest, where we have a nice hot shower, and then I turned on ice cold, and she would scream. Trevor and Megan would scream, but they survived it.
My childhood.
So anyway, what we're going to do is Megan's queued up Wim Hof on the big screen TV here. So what we want to do is just sit down and relax. I'm going to go through this process myself as well, and we'll talk about it on the back end of it. Like I said, there's so much good information on YouTube these days, on the internet, about these kinds of things. If you're interested in anything at all, you can just get on YouTube or some of the other channels, just type it in, and you get all kinds of good information. Like I told Megan before, it's about the traveling university. A lot of this kind of stuff you can listen to in the car. You know, if you don't have access to the YouTube in your car, you can record it and play it in the car. A lot of things that you can do, or listen to it on the phone, because most people have YouTube on the phone, I guess, as well. But all this kind of stuff travels right with you if you're interested in something, because all true education is self-education. If you're really interested in something, educate yourself. A lot of the resources are out there. Not one person has everything. Okay. Now I have 100,000 books in my library. Okay. Now I like to read, but I'm not an expert hardly in anything. It's like a master of none, jack of all trades kind of thing. You know? I know a lot about a lot of different things, but not to the point of I'm an expert on anything. I know how to use pendulums. I know about, all kinds of different things, a little bit here, a little bit there. Now, this week we're going to talk about breath work. Next week, I want to talk about using the pendulum to predict the lottery. What we're going to do, using the pendulum, the way I like to do it is something you can verify immediately. Like we're doing with the coins in the box. Okay, you could verify it immediately. So what we're doing, we also did that with birthdays as well. But on past lottery numbers, we know what they are. So we could say on this date, a lottery was drawn on Powerball, for instance, what were the numbers? And then we can use a pendulum to try to find it, if we could really predict, using a pendulum, what the numbers were on some past date. Because we could check that immediately. And there are probably 5 or 6 different ways that people use the pendulum to predict the lottery. Using it directly on a chart, using cards turned upside down, letting the pendulum pick the card. You don't know what the number is, because the problem with a pendulum is that your conscious mind can interfere with your subconscious mind giving you the answer. So if you, for instance, you're using a pendulum and you get a 1, then next time you get a 2, you go, that can't be right. Okay, so then you change it to something else. Okay, 14, that sounds better. Okay, in your mind. But if you have cards turned upside down, some people like to draw numbers out of the bag randomly. There's all kinds of different ways of doing it. Okay, but we can try some different methods.
I like that idea too.
So we can try some different methods for doing it. Some people have these what they call the lottery wheels, which I've tried, and I see no value in it particularly. But I have had some good luck looking at past numbers, like the previous numbers, using those. But generally, you're not going to get the same number twice on consecutive draws because you've got a whole lot of numbers. But anyway, we can take a look at lottery numbers next week. The week after that, I'd like to go back and talk about some basic things about consciousness. Okay. And go over some of the things I'll be writing in my book in the first chapter. That just review some things about consciousness in general. And then after that, week after that, we need to start into our seeing if we can move things with our mind. Now we've done a little bit of moving things with our mind, but in terms of thought transfer, thought forms, like Megan used a thought transform to put a dime in a box. I use a thought transform or a thought transference, okay, to put a quarter over.
Where the TV was
Where the
the
TV
last
was.
time.
Yeah, I used the thought form to put a quarter over where in the corner over here. And but I actually put the quarter a different place. And so when Adam came in here, he was focused on where the thought form was. He was just all over where the thought form was, not where the quarter was. Okay, so he was very sensitive to that thought form. So there's a lot of stuff like that when you're talking about consciousness. If you're just talking that from a purely everyday routine, you go, well, that's silly. Okay, so all this that we're doing is experimenting. Okay, here's some things that I found to be true. Let's try it out, see if it works. A lot of people say pendulums are really good. You can use them in different ways. Let's try it, see if it works. Let's see if we can find things. All these techniques you be able to use on a daily basis. Try to use it on a whatever you have, not necessarily daily basis, but try to use it if you have a problem. If you lost something, try to use the pendulum to find it. I don't always do that as my first choice. My first choice always, where did I last leave it? I think about, okay, what was I doing when last time I had that tool? What was I doing? Okay, when I exhaust that process, I go, okay, go get your pendulum, and then I find it. Okay, so anyway, so we want to go ahead and do some breath work. Next week we'll talk about pendulum. Week after that we'll talk about consciousness again. Kind of refocused on consciousness, that everything is consciousness, that we're attached to everything is one. And then the week after that, we're going to start hanging a pendulum up without touching it, so we can get it to move. And then I have some down feathers that we can put under a jar, so it can't be affected by wind or anything. And see if we can get these down feathers to move. A whole bunch of different things we can do with try to move things with the mind directly. The other thing too is with candles. That's a very popular thing to do. You have a candle and you burn it and you try to get the flicker. You want to lean to the left, lean to the right. And if you're really good at it, some people can actually cause the flame to go out.
I've done that with like smoke, like coming up.
Like incense smoke.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we can play around those kinds of ideas. Now, I haven't really worked around much with telekinesis, those kinds of things. So it's kind of a new thing for me, but it's something I've always been interested in. So it's going to be kind of, for me, exploring something as well. I'm very well versed in some of these other things, but telekinesis, I haven't really done it per se in terms of moving physical objects. Okay, I guess we want to go ahead and start the video.
Okay.
And do some breath work and see how we feel. We're going to be using the Wim Hof method. There's also a Stanislav Grof, I guess, Grof. He's a psychologist or psychiatrist. He deals in some of these things as well. He has something called the holographic breath work. And I've gone through some of that. I read some of his material, but it's just, I don't know, I just never connected with it. Maybe you could, if you read it, you'd connect with it. But anyway, we can just do some breath work and see how it goes.
So do you want me to move this closer or just, I guess I really just
Well,
need to hear it.
It's just sound. You
Okay.
just need the sound. You don't need the visual.
Okay. All right. So y'all give me a thumbs up if you can make sure you can hear it. The whole thing's 11 minutes. So I want to make sure you can hear it. Okay.
Welcome. This is a guided breathing session. Relax to the deepest. Lie down, sit down, whatever it takes. Relax. Are you ready? Round number 1. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Just go with the flow of the breath. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Into the belly, into the chest, and let go. Like a wave. Make it circular. Fully in, and letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. Ten more. Fully in, let it go. Five more. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Fully in and let go. All right. 30 seconds breath hold from now on. Be in this moment. Let the body do what the body is capable of doing. Be aware of your heartbeat. Slow it down and just be in this moment. Okay, recovery breath in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Round number 2. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Into the belly, into the chest, and let go. Like a wave. Make it circular. Fully in and letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. Ten more. Fully in, let it go. Nice, deep, circular breaths. Five more. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Fully in. And on the exhale, stop. 1 minute breath hold from now on. Feel Become aware of your body. If your hands and feet are tingling, or you feel your body temperature is changing, that's okay. You're doing fantastic. If you need to breathe before I give the cue, that's okay. You are almost there. Do you want to prolong your breath hold? Pause the video now and continue when you feel the urge to breathe. When you are ready, fully in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Round number 3. Back into that rhythm. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. In, out, in, out, into the belly, into the chest, and let go. Like a wave. Make it circular. Fully in, and letting go. Just keep on going. No pause between inhalation and exhalation. Ten more. Fully in, let it go. Nice, deep, circular breaths. 5 more. Let's give it all we got. Last one. Fully in. And on the exhale, stop. 1.5 minutes breath hold from now on. Become aware of the blood running through your veins, your heart beating. Feel. Thirty seconds left. You are almost there. Do you want to prolong your breath hold? Pause the video now and continue when you feel the urge to breathe. All right. Breathe in and hold for 15 seconds. Exhale in 3, 2, 1. Let it go. Let your breathing return to normal as you finish up the round. Move your body bit by bit, starting with your fingers and your toes. Let your breathing normalize. If you liked this guided breathing session, we got more for you. We got a free app on our website. Download it. It's good stuff. Thanks for your time.
Okay.
What time is it? Oh, 43. Whoa. Nice.
That's crazy.
She got her heart rate down to 43.
Really?
Jenny. Yeah.
I didn't measure mine. Normally my heart rate is always typically around 38 when I wake up in the morning. And since I had COVID, it's been up into the 80s. So I'm looking to bring it back.
Wow. A lot of the time, my heart rate was always like around 100, but I think that's because of anxiety.
Well, I think
Yeah,
that's what
Jen-
mine.
Yeah, there's a real good book by Dr. Coco, C-O-C-A. It's called The Pulse Test, which he says basically if you're consuming foods that you're allergic to, your pulse rate's going to go up. So you need to establish your base pulse rate, and then if you suspect that you're allergic to some particular food or medicine or whatever, then if your heart rate goes up by a certain amount, usually by 10 points or something like that after you consume the food, then he says you're allergic to that food, maybe you should avoid it. So it's called the Pulse Test. If you can't find it, I have a copy of it if someone's interested in reading it. But it's a real good book.
Look it up.
It's probably out of print, I would imagine. I don't know if you can get it on Amazon or not, but I have a PDF version of it. It's a real good.
Okay.
Of his 100,000 books he's referring to.
A bunch of them.
You couldn't pass a used bookstore without stopping.
I love that.
But I figured I'm going to live long enough to read those 100,000 books, so I'll live to long.
I've always wanted my own library, but I've never had an extra room.
Well, Megan gave me a coffee cup. What did the coffee cup say, Megan?
I can't remember.
It's not that there's too many books, not enough bookshelves.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like,
I agree with that.
I've got at least 5,000 books in my library at home. I mean, physical hardcover books. My 100,000 books are a PDF version.
Yeah, I've went to Kindle lately because I don't have the room.
Well, put it on your phone if you got it.
Yeah,
I have extended memory. I got like 1 terabyte memory on my phone.
me too. Me too.
So what was your experience doing the breathing? Were you able to do the first one was 30 seconds, then it was a minute and a half. Was everyone able to do a minute and a half?
No, I did for over a minute. I was not quite the whole minute and 30.
I was falling short.
I probably made it to like 120, a minute and 20, and I just did a little bit of oxygen. And then when he said breathe, then I was like, oh my gosh, it's probably on camera. I was all dramatic. I was all dramatic about it, but I held my breath pretty much the whole minute and a half. I only took an itty teeny tiny bit of oxygen in my nose. I was like, just because I wanted to go.
Your system's telling you to breathe, okay? But the whole thing about this is like a daily thing. It's really good, like if you're laying in bed before you get out of bed in the morning to do this, because it doesn't really take that long to do it. But Wim Hof, of course, he has a whole additional protocol that he goes through with the cold showers and stuff like that. But all these videos are available on YouTube. Fantastic. It's like going to a university, the kind of education you can get from YouTube. But Wim Hof has a lot of videos. He talked about having a app on his website, wimhof.com. So you can put it on your phone or something like that for meditation purposes or in the morning. Because when you're in bed in the morning, it's nice to have some kind of, you don't want to be counting, okay? I need to do 30 breaths. You don't want to be counting how many breaths did it take. It's nice to have something to remind you, okay, 5 more to go or whatever.
Yeah.
And to remind you to try to hold it for a minute and a half. Now, I know when I was in high school, I was a long distance runner and I was a pretty good athlete. I could hold my breath for 5 minutes.
Wow. Oh my gosh, no way.
Long time. Yeah, I could hold it for a long time. That's when I was young.
Dang.
Like now, I made it to a minute and a half, no trouble. But I wouldn't have gone 2 minutes. I can tell you that.
I found that my hands were like tingling and my feet, where I guess that's like the blood circulate. Yeah, it's like
Well, what
all
they
that.
say, you gain oxygen into your system, number one. But some of the doctors say it's because you're increasing your pH of your blood. It causes the tingles. Some people say that. Why it is, I don't know. I felt tingles on the first 30 breaths, but I didn't feel on the second 2.
Well, see, mine really picked up on the second one. Like like the first one I did, but like when we were going in, when it was like the minute, like when we were going into that, like that's like, and it, because when he said about your temperature will change, like I actually felt like that, like,
Flush.
yeah. Like I can't exactly, I'd have to do it again. I can't exactly, but it's like that, maybe flush, like maybe that's a good word.
See, I felt cooler, which is odd, like rather than warmer.
Well, everyone's different. Everyone's experience is going to be different. Like he says, is that everyone's has a different experience on these things. He's saying this is how it affects him, but it affects other people different ways.
Yeah.
He said
I
that,
did feel the tingles.
he
in
said
my
if
hands
you
and
get
feet.
much practice, you should be able to get your heart rate down into the low 40s or upper 30s.
Well, Jenny did.
I mean,
We know that.
consistent. So there's a lot of help through it. He talks a lot about this stuff in his books. Becoming Iceman is a real good book. He's written 2 books that I have. Becoming Iceman is one of them, and I forget the title of the other one, but they're readily available on Amazon. If anybody has trouble getting these books or can't afford to get them, I have copies of these books I could send you. So I mean, I have a paid service that I use, but the paid service is so minimal, and I'm getting so much value out of it. It's ridiculous.
I was gonna say, when we first started, I had my camera off, and I noticed that, like, when I first started channeling without knowing I was channeling spirit, I would notice that when I would go into like meditative state, that I would start doing this like spiral, like my body would just do this by itself, like it was in a vortex.
Yeah.
And it hasn't done that for a very long time. And when we first started the breath work, my camera was off and I noticed my body starting to swirl again. So that's when I turned my camera on, but it didn't happen again. But I did get the tingles in my hands, which was similar to what I feel when I'm doing, I guess it's Reiki, like moving energy. So it kind of felt like that. So I did get the tingles in my hands.
Also, when you get a lot of oxygen in your system, you're going to feel lightheaded too.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yes, yeah, I did.
Lying down or being if you happen to pass out when you're doing this, you're not going to hurt yourself.
Yeah, I thought for a second I'd better stop or I'm going to pass out.
Well, usually what I do is if I start feeling lightheaded, I back off a little bit. Because to me it feels uncomfortable because you're going into this almost like a dream state when you're in that hyper oxygen level. It feels like, well, whoa, is this real or is this Memorex? It's kind of like it's unreal. So now I usually try to back off because it feels uncomfortable to me. I don't think it's any damage to you or not. I would assume it doesn't, but your body's going to protect itself. If you're hurting yourself, you get too much oxygen, you're going to pass out. You're going to quit breathing. Okay, at least at the rapid rate. But like a lot of health benefits, like I said, just explore, read some books about it, all kinds of information on YouTube about it. There are some doctors who have had some negative comments about the whole procedure, particularly
Of course they do.
particularly about the cold water. Okay, Wim Hof says you should like take a hot shower in the morning and then put the cold one up full blast, take a couple of deep breaths. And he says it centers you, okay, brings you back to focus. All of a sudden, all the problems in the world don't matter. You're freezing your buns off, you know, and then you back off.
Maybe I should have people spray me at work.
Oh, I'm
I'm
sure
always
they
saying-
love that. Just
I'm sure. I mean, I tell them to remind me to breathe, and they can't seem to remember that. So maybe if I say spray me with cold water, that'll help. You know, help me remember to center myself.
And you know, the first thing you do when you get a glass of cold water, shower, first thing you do is you take a lot of oxygen. This is your first reaction. And there's a lot of stuff, a lot of things, a lot of information out there says that it affects your body chemistry in many different ways, even to the point of it at the DNA level. There's some studies saying it affects you even at the DNA level, which is epigenetics. That when you go in the cold water, it's kind of like a survival mechanism. Just the same thing like when you're fasting, your body goes into autophagy. Okay, it's a kind of protective thing, so that if you're starving in our past, you know, if you're starving, that means that you have to conserve your energy. You have to start using your energy better. Okay, and he says basically if you do some of the things that he talks about, you go into human growth factor hormones, you increase your stem cell count in your bodies, which helps you repair. That all this whole process with Wim Hof says that it's really a healing process. Okay, they take breathing as part of it, the cold water is a part of it, and some of the other things like ice is part of it too, I guess. But generally, you're going to find out where your comfort level is, what you want to do, what you're not willing to do. But to me, it's just a matter of exploring things. Where are you trying to go? Like Wim Hof says in some of his presentations, is why are you here? Why are you listening to me? What's your purpose of spending time with me? Okay, and so that's a big question that we all should have. Why do we want to learn these things? What's the value to me? Okay, to me, the value of all this kind of breath work is that it's a calming thing. It has a restorative value and essentially keeping you disease free. He has a good video talking about what do you do if you get a cold or the flu? What does Wim Hof say about what you should do to your body to avoid it or get over it? Anyway, there's a lot of good stuff out there. You just kind of have to search around and find out where your interest level is, because everyone has a certain interest level that they're pursuing at the moment. And you know, like I said, all good education is self-education. Find out what your niche is that you want to explore. Because all we can do here is just basically introduce you to ideas, you know, because we've spent so little time together. So it's kind of thing, you integrate all this kind of stuff into your life, okay, in some way, small way to start with, and maybe something bigger later on. Adam, what was your experience when you breathing? Do you have any particular experience?
No, maybe my temperature went up a little bit just from it, and then
Anything,
and then the dog.
yeah, the dog kept wanting to come and kiss my lips.
Yeah, he did.
Kind of like grabbing.
It's like, you breathing, you okay? You're breathing funny here.
yeah, he
So
did
dog
it
kept
twice
checking.
to you.
He kept checking on me, you okay?
And I think when I do that, like that fast breathing like that, it just my temperature will go up. I didn't do it long enough to get the tingling before I got up, but
Okay. Anyway, I kind of relied on this tonight since these guys are professionals, they do this a living. And all this kind of stuff is really kind of new for me. And I can't speak from any kind of authority on these things. I mean, I've done these things in sort of a small way, but I rely on these kinds of videos and stuff to help you through these kinds of processes. So I hope it wasn't a waste of time for anybody.
No, that was cool.
Heck no.
No.
Thank you. I appreciate this. That's why I'm here every week.
Okay, because
Every week.
this is kind of like an introduction, and all this information
Or
I'm here
every
available
class.
to you. And it's good to spend time together with people with like mind, sharing ideas, maybe introducing you to something you weren't aware of before. maybe you'd want to explore more on later?
I have noticed in the last couple weeks that I can't say it's due to doing breath work because that's not the case. I haven't practiced like I should, but I have noticed, I can take a deeper breath for it's almost like a weird amount of time to me because it's like, how can I still be breathing in? It's like it's weird. So I don't know why that's happening, but I can take this big breath, like my lungs are just like expanding.
Well, I had a friend from Iran, and he said sometimes when he gets focused on his homework, because he went to university with me in California, he says sometimes when he's doing his work, he gets so concentrated on what he's doing, he passes out. He said,
Wow. Oh my God.
he said he forgets to breathe. He's so focused on doing his work because he comes from Iran and there's a lot of pressure for him to succeed at school because the government was paying for his education, that he gets so concentrated on doing a good job that he would just actually pass out because he forgot to breathe.
Oh,
Horrible.
I understand that. That's why I tell people at work to remind me to breathe because I forget to breathe and then I start being a jerk and I get angry and I'm like, could you just hold your breath when you're frustrated or something? And then all day I'm holding my breath. So I'm like, you guys remind me to breathe so I don't throat punch somebody. Just kidding. I would never really, in my head I would. In my head it would happen, not in real life. You know what I mean? I'd probably just, give the finger and walk out or something.
True. Real.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Okay, is there anything other than what I talked about you guys like to see? Like I said, I'd like to see, do a little bit of lottery work next week. Basically, just see if we come up with numbers that we already know from past lotteries. See how successful we are about picking some of the numbers from past lotteries to see, because we could pick the numbers and we know what the numbers already were from past times. And then go into some more consciousness thing. And then the following week you go into more trying to move a pendulum with our mind only, not with our not connected to our body. If there's anything else you guys would like to see short term, I'd be glad to look on it. Because like I said, I have tremendous amount of information available that we can pursue anything you guys want to work on.
We'll definitely have to think about I guess other topics that are in relation to this that I could think of that I'd want to go more into. I know there's a bunch, but my brain's blank right now for some